Hi, I'm Pete Torriello,
And I'm Maureen Torriello.
and we have a question for you. Who stole Mischief Night? Welcome to the Sonic Boomers podcast. Please take this opportunity to give us a like and subscribe and click the bell so you always get notified when we drop a new show your way.
You don't want to miss those.
And we're serious. What happened to Mischief Night?
Now, did you do Mischief Night when you were a kid?
The neighborhood did.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't.
Petey did not.
Petey did not. Petey was a goody two-shoes and didn't want to get in trouble. Although it's supposed to be really, at its best, innocent fun.
Right. Kind of like April Fools or something, like pranks.
Yeah, of course we know that there are parts of the country, like Detroit, for example, where it's known as Devil's Night, and thousands of fires are set.
That's not what we're condoning.
That's
we're not
what
condoning
condoning
anything, but we're talking about Mischief Night, and in particular, that's what it's known as here in this section of New Jersey. But it also has other names throughout the country, which I didn't realize. Mm-hmm. Some places call it Devil's Night, Cabbage Night, which we'll talk about later what that is, Devil's Eve, Goosey Night, and Gate Night. And it's a holiday the day before Halloween, and children, teens, and young adults engage in pranks and harmless vandalism is what it's intended. It's mostly a fun holiday, and it's supposed to be minor annoyances to people, like having their trees covered in toilet paper. But there have been instances,
the car windows or something like that.
But there have been instances where it's gotten out of control, and so we're talking about all the different aspects of Mischief Night on this podcast.
When I grew up in my neighborhood, it was called Mischief Night.
Us too. That's what I didn't realize, and I didn't realize it was as widespread as it apparently is, until it started coming up in some of the discussions on Facebook, and that's when I heard about the different names for it and all, and I was quite surprised that it was as big a deal as it apparently is.
And apparently, even though there are a lot of different names for Mischief Night, 1 in 4 Americans actually don't have any name for the night before Halloween.
Yeah. And it makes you wonder, how far back does this go? Like, is it something that's just in the newer generations, or does it have much of a history? So I looked into that, and it turns out that if you really want to go back to, the roots of the mischief idea, maybe not Mischief Night as we know it.
Cheers, everybody.
Am I boring you?
No.
It goes back to the 18th century in Great Britain. Mm-hmm. And it was first mentioned in an incident back in Oxford in 1790. However, the night wasn't October 30th. It was actually the day before May Day in Britain. And in the 18th and 19th centuries, the day before May Day was known as Mischief Night, and often accompanied by children playing harmless pranks such as stealing or switching shop signs and road signs, overturning tubs of water. And in Britain, it often was referred to on November 4th, and it's also known as Guy Fawkes Day Eve, and also was accompanied by many pranks done by the young kids.
Oh, those hooligans.
Yes.
Those little hooligans.
Eventually, it was transferred across the Atlantic, over the pond, as they say, here to America. And we're not really sure when it was officially started here. It seems like there's some early mentions of it back in the 1930s and 40s in some newspaper articles. And they referred to the pranks that the children did on the day before Halloween. And it was kind of transforming from the trick or treat kind of thing from Halloween. The trick part was going to be on Mischief Night, and the treats became what we know as Halloween today, right, of going around in costume for candy. And they spoke of the pranks and the vandalism in these articles that occurred on the Mischief Night. And so, unfortunately, it started harmlessly enough, but it eventually included things like breaking windows, ringing people's doorbells, running, and ringing false alarms for the fire department. And then from about World War II until the 1970s, Mischief Night was seen as a nuisance and occasionally required police intervention. However, during the 1980s in Detroit, as you started to mention before, these pranks got a lot more violent and a lot more serious, including violence and arson, which is terrible. In 1984, there was almost 1,000 fires in Detroit, in the city. And the amount of arson in the city kept escalating over the next several years. It got so bad that the media dubbed the night Devil's Night. And by 1986, a curfew was imposed for anyone under the age of 18. Detroit also had to bring in volunteer fire departments who are joining communities to help them with the arson epidemic, a tradition that continues to this day. Every year, around 40,000 volunteers patrol the streets of Detroit from October 29th through October 31st, and these volunteers look for vandals. Fires have been decreased because of this, and it's become a more manageable activity. And now they want to rename it in Detroit to Angels Night because they're trying to put a more positive spin on it. Devil's Night was also fictionalized in a film back in 1994 called The Crow. In this film, the protagonist and his fiancée are killed on Devil's Night. In 2006 and 2013, there were movies titled Mischief Night, released in the United Kingdom and the United States.
Earlier this week, they were talking about this on the Dennis and Judy show on New Jersey 101.5. And I thought it was very funny that a lot of the people who listen to their show, and I would guess that most of them are in our age bracket, some a little younger, some a little older. But it's funny because I had mentioned to you at the start of the show that my father saw Mischief Night as not a good thing,
right,
as a nuisance, because he would get really mad if they soaped the car windows. Because you didn't mess with my father's car. That was sacrosanct.
That takes a little bit of doing to clean up too.
Yeah,
I mean, the toilet paper thing, that's not so bad.
I don't like when they used to throw eggs, because
that's bad.
That's hell on the paint.
That is,
that's
especially if it gets on.
I remember our old house got egged once.
Yes,
and that egg was up there on the siding for years and years because it was hard to get to.
Right, it was up on like the eave over the roof.
Yeah.
And you couldn't get to it.
Didn't clean up easily. And there's probably pieces of it.
Maybe.
Still there. Mr. Gwynn, go out and take a look. So my dad was not really, on board with Mischief Night. I didn't participate. And the folks on New Jersey 101.5 were calling and saying, what the hell happened to Mischief Night? Which I thought was funny because it was the kind of thing that our folks' generations didn't exactly like. And
now
these
that
folks
it's gone,
were like,
they're missing it.
Where is it? Where is it? Like, why hasn't anybody rung my doorbell? Why hasn't anybody soaped my car windows? Why didn't anybody throw toilet paper up in my tree? And people were actually missing the harmless fun on Mischief Night. It's like it's another thing that got taken away over time.
Well, I think there's a couple of things that have evolved that I think contribute to that. One being during the pandemic, the shortage of toilet paper. Remember, you couldn't get it.
That's right.
So
That's
to
right.
throw it recklessly over the trees is not a good idea.
I think there was a toilet paper conspiracy. I'm telling you. I think Kleenex was in on it.
Oh, but here we go.
I think the Charmin Bears were in on it. It's a big conspiracy.
Okay, whatever you say.
Yep.
And I think the other thing with all the Ring cameras and things like that, the kids are a little bit more afraid of getting caught, and the likelihood of them getting caught is a lot greater. And I think as a parent, I would be telling the kids, don't do it. You know,
I'll tell you where I think Mischief Night went.
where?
These kids today are on TikTok.
Mm-hmm.
They're on TikTok. They're not going to soap your car window. They're not going to ring your bell. They're not going to TP your trees. They're going to do a video of somebody having their head cut off on TikTok. And
Well,
if you think I'm kidding, go take a look at TikTok.
I'm sure you probably could find things like that.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, out of all these different names that they had for Mischief Night, the one I never heard of was Cabbage Night.
I've heard of Cabbage Night.
Had before this?
Yes.
Really?
I knew Cabbage Night, Goosey Night, and Mischief Night.
Okay, I had never heard of that, and apparently the cabbage thing goes back to Scotland, and they used to use it this time of year. I guess the crops have been picked, and what's left on the ground were rotting away cabbages, and the kids would come and grab those cabbages and then throw them at people's doors. The other thing was apparently there was some kind of a legend attributed with the cabbages that the young girls could look into the cabbages and, I don't know, like count the, like loves me not kind of thing or something with the leaves, and it would predict who they would marry. And then once they did that, then they had these cabbages and they would throw them on people's properties and at the doors. So that's how the cabbage name came about, which I had never heard of that before.
Yeah, that's an interesting derivation of where it came from, because I had no idea where it came from. I just knew that the night before Halloween was always, one of the aforementioned things, but I had no idea where it came from.
Yeah, so it's been kind of a whole like evolution, I guess you would say, from harmless to violent, back to harmless, and now to almost non-existent.
Yeah, I would say non-existent.
At least around here,
Yeah.
knock wood. And truthfully, I mean, I miss it for the sake of the kids having fun, but I don't miss it as an adult having to go out and clean it up. I'm
Yeah.
just as glad that nobody TP'd us,
Yeah.
truthfully, or nobody soaped our car. I wouldn't want to have to be dealing with that the next day. But, it is what it is, as they say.
Yeah, it's just, another night of hopefully innocent fun just, gone.
It's too bad.
Yeah, yeah. Well, maybe it'll come back. I don't know. Drop us a note down below in the comments and let us know if they still even do anything on Mischief Night in your neighborhood. And hopefully in the name of harmless fun.
Absolutely.
It's time for our trivia contest, which we are doing this week because I forgot to bring the cards in last week on
And
the show.
who brought the cards
You
this week?
brought the cards in this week,
Yay, me. Should we do 2 questions tonight?
if you want.
No, I don't care.
If you want.
Okay, well, I'll give you one first, and we'll see
Okay.
how it goes.
Okay.
All right, this is in the news section.
Mm-hmm.
What former U.S. president died in New York City on October 20th, 1964? Just around this time of year.
U.S. president, 1964.
Time's up.
Was it Dwight Eisenhower?
No. It was Herbert Hoover.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that would have been the farthest thing from my mind.
Well, there
Herbert
you go.
Hoover. All right, let me give you one.
Okay.
And let's see. Right. I have to give you a hard one or an easy one. Okay. I'm going to give you a life and times one.
Okay.
What think tank's name was coined in 1946? You remember 1946, don't you? Was coined in 1946 from the term research and development. Let me read that again. What think tank's name was coined in 1946 from the term research and development? If you get this,
What? I don't know. Is it like, I'm not sure what we're looking for. Is this like a term that you like human resources?
it's a think tank. It's an organization known as a think tank.
R&D?
The name was the Rand Corporation.
Oh, okay. No clue.
Okay, do you want to try another one?
Sure.
Okay.
Okay. Whose picture appeared on the cover of an album entitled For Lovers Only? Woohoo.
For lovers only.
Where's the romantic side of you, baby?
It's up. Wow. For lovers only. I
Got nothing, huh?
have no clue.
Elvis Presley.
Oh, okay.
I thought you might get that one.
No, I didn't get that one.
All right.
No. All right.
One more
let's
try.
try another one for you. I think you're going to get this one.
Okay.
I think you are going to get this one. Who provided the voices of Barney Rubble and Dino for the Flintstones?
Oh, we were just talking about this too. Now, now there were a couple of Barney Rubble voices, right? A couple people that did it.
Because one of them was in the hospital
Right, Mel
after
Blanc.
a car
right?
wreck.
Mel
and,
Blanc did one of them.
and somebody else stepped in and did it for a while.
And is it Alan Freed? No.
Is that your answer?
Yeah.
Well, at least I'm not the only one that's 0 for 2. It was Mel Blanc.
Well, I said Mel Blanc, and then you said.
But you didn't say your final answer. You were talking about Mel Blanc.
Do you see what I put up with, people? No, I said Mel Blanc because I said there were at least 2 different people that did it, and I said Mel Blanc being one of them. And then you led me to believe that was not what you were looking for. And you led me down the garden path the wrong way, deliberately, folks, just to get me.
All right, I'll give you one more chance.
Okay.
I'll give you one more chance, okay? What silent screen comic appeared in 1965's Beach Blanket Bingo?
Oh.
Silent screen star. Think of the kind of movie it was. Beach Blanket Bingo.
Charlie McCarthy?
Wow. Bad day at Black Rock. Buster Keaton.
That was my second guess.
Yeah, Buster Keaton.
All right, let's see. Oh, dear.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What Woody Allen movie took viewers inside the body of Sydney?
Getting our money's worth on this sounder. Again, I have no idea.
Okay. And maybe the title of this movie, Everything You Always Wanted to Know About Sex.
Wow.
Well, folks, aren't you glad we did
Aren't you glad you listened to our podcast this week?
Well, we made up for lost time with the baby boomer trivias, but 0 for 0.
Well, try us again on the next edition of the Sonic Boomers podcast, when we will have another exciting topic to talk about and a few trivia questions at the end, and see if you get stumped as we did. 0 for 3. That is freaking...
That hurts.
That is freaking tragic. Until next time, I'm Pete Torriello.
And I'm Maureen Torriello.
And now it's your turn to go out and make
some noise.